War. It's a word that echoes through the annals of history, a word that conjures images of chaos, destruction, and unyielding human spirit. But World War II wasn't just a war. It was the war, a conflict so vast, so devastating, that it reshaped the very fabric of the modern world. How did we get here? To answer that, we must go back to 1919, to a time when the world was licking its wounds from World War I, a war that was supposed to end all wars. But instead, it planted the seeds for an even greater conflict. The seeds of war. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 officially ended World War I, but it didn't bring peace, it brought resentment. Germany was forced to accept full responsibility for the war, surrender key territories, disarm its military, and pay staggering reparations. Imagine being handed a bill so large that your grandchildren's grandchildren would still be paying it off. That was Germany's reality. The humiliation and economic collapse that followed created a perfect storm for extremist ideologies to thrive. In this chaos rose Adolf Hitler, a charismatic yet dangerous leader. He promised the German people a brighter future, playing on their anger and desperation. His message? That Germany could be great again, but only by overturning the Treaty of Versailles and blaming its problems on scapegoats, particularly Jews and other minorities. Germany wasn't the only country facing turmoil. In Italy, Benito Mussolini promised to restore the Roman Empire's glory, while Japan, feeling excluded from global power, sought to expand its empire through military conquest. Across the globe, the Great Depression deepened divisions, leaving nations vulnerable to radical leaders who thrived on fear and ambition. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin became a world power through brutal purges and forced industrialization. The stage was set for a global conflict, a powder keg waiting for a spark. The first sparks of war. The first sparks of war began far from Europe. In 1931, Japan invaded Manchuria, defying international law and the League of Nations. The world condemned their actions, but no one intervened. Emboldened, Japan continued its aggression, eventually invading China in 1937, unleashing atrocities like the rape of Nanjing. In Europe, Hitler began testing the waters. In 1936, he sent German troops into the Rhineland, a demilitarized zone. This was a direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles, but again, the world did nothing. It was as if the alarm bells were ringing, but no one was ready to wake up. The Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, became a rehearsal for larger conflicts, with Germany and Italy supporting the fascists and the Soviet Union backing the Republicans. This war showcased the brutality and advanced weaponry that would define World War II. The outbreak of war. September 1, 1939. Germany invaded Poland using a blitzkrieg, or lightning war, a revolutionary tactic combining rapid movement of tanks, infantry, and air power. This wasn't just an invasion, it was a show of overwhelming force designed to crush the enemy before they could react. 2 weeks later, the Soviet Union invaded Poland from the east, fulfilling a secret pact with Germany, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. This agreement shocked the world. Two ideologically opposed nations, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, had secretly agreed to divide Eastern Europe between them. Britain and France, realizing diplomacy had failed, declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. The fall of Europe. In the early months of the war, Germany's military strategy proved unstoppable. Denmark and Norway fell quickly, securing critical access to resources. In 1940, Germany launched its invasion of France, bypassing the heavily fortified Maginot Line through the Ardennes forest, a route French generals had deemed impassable. France fell within 6 weeks, leaving Britain to stand alone. The world watched as the Nazi war machine seemed invincible, but amid the darkness came a glimmer of hope: the evacuation of Dunkirk. Over 330,000 Allied soldiers were rescued from the beaches, thanks to an armada of military and civilian vessels. Though it was a retreat, it became a symbol of resilience. Britain stands alone. With Europe under Nazi control, Britain was the last stronghold of resistance. Hitler launched the Battle of Britain, a relentless air campaign aimed at breaking British morale. But Britain had an ace up its sleeve: radar technology. This early warning system allowed the Royal Air Force to intercept German bombers and fighters, turning the tide. Churchill's defiant speeches united the nation, famously declaring, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall never surrender." The global war expands. In 1941, the war expanded dramatically. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, drawing the United States into the conflict. Overnight, the war became truly global. The Allies, comprising the United States, Britain, the Soviet Union, and others, faced the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, Each side mobilized millions of soldiers, resources, and strategies for a fight that spanned continents. Turning points. 1942 was a turning point. The Battle of Stalingrad marked the first major defeat for Hitler's forces. In the Pacific, the Battle of Midway turned the tide against Japan. And on June 6, 1944, D-Day, the Allies launched the largest amphibious invasion in history, storming the beaches of Normandy to liberate Europe. The war's end. By 1945, the Axis powers were collapsing. Hitler, refusing to surrender, took his life in his bunker. In the Pacific, the United States faced a grim decision. To avoid a costly invasion of Japan, they dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, forcing Japan's surrender. The war was over, but the cost was staggering: over 70 million lives lost, cities in ruins, and millions displaced. Aftermath and legacy. The aftermath of World War II reshaped the world. The United Nations was created to promote peace. Europe was rebuilt through the Marshall Plan. The Nuremberg trials held war criminals accountable. Yet, the scars of this war remind us of the cost of division and hatred. History isn't just about the past, it's a guide for the future. Let us learn from this story so that the horrors of World War II are never repeated. A call to remember. World War II was more than a conflict, it was a defining moment in human history. As we remember those who sacrificed, let us learn from their courage and resilience. History isn't just about the past, it's a guide for the future. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found this story meaningful, like, share, and subscribe to help others understand the lessons of history. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.